My 57th birthday. Table for 10. I ate alone. My wife, kids, brother, all had emergencies. But I knew the truth. For 6 months, I've been watching them plot in a group chat called Exit Strategy. They thought I was clueless. They thought wrong. That night, everything I built became a weapon, and I wasn't afraid to use it. I could have stopped this years ago. Could have confronted Rachel the first time I noticed the credit card charges to hotels I'd never stayed at. Could have asked Steven why he needed to borrow 30 grand when his franchise was supposedly pulling 6 figures quarterly. Could have demanded answers when my own kids started treating me like an ATM with a guilt complex instead of their father. But I didn't, because I wanted to see how deep it went, how far they push, how much they thought I'd tolerate before I finally broke. Spoiler alert, I never broke. I just started documenting. My name is Daniel Harrison. I'm 57 years old, and I built something from absolutely nothing. Harrison's Fitness and Wellness. Started as one gym in a strip mall in Tucson back in 1995. Now, it's 143 locations across 7 states. I didn't inherit money. Didn't marry into it. I built it with sweat, credit card debt, and the kind of stubborn refusal to quit that my old man drilled into me before he died. The franchise model was my idea. Give people the structure, the branding, the playbook, and let them run their own operation. It worked. Boy, did it work. And like an idiot, I handed out franchises to my family like party favors. Rachel got the Scottsdale location. Steven got Phoenix North. My son Liam got the Tempe campus site. My daughter Emily got the Old Town spot. Even Rob Sullivan, my best friend since college, got the Mesa franchise. All of them, gifted. No franchise fees. No royalty payments for the first 5 years. Just a clause buried in the agreement that I never thought I'd have to use. Section 14C. Moral breach and immediate termination rights. If the franchisee engages in coordinated actions to defraud, deceive, or intentionally harm the franchisor, all rights revert immediately. I activated it 3 days ago, and tonight, on my 57th birthday, I'm sitting alone at a table set for 10 at Lakeside Steakhouse. The one with the view of Tempe Town Lake. The one where we used to celebrate every milestone. 10 chairs. 10 sets of silverware. 10 glasses of water, slowly losing their chill. Rachel texted this morning. Migraine. Can't make it. Love you. Emily called an hour before. Dad, I'm so sorry. Last-minute crisis at the gallery. Rain check. Liam didn't even bother with an excuse. Just didn't show. Steven sent a voice message. Slurred. Drunk. Hey brother, got tied up. Catch you next week. Rob's text came in 2 minutes after I sat down. Something came up. You understand. I understand perfectly. They all thought I didn't know. That I was too busy, too distracted, too soft to notice. They thought I'd sit here, pathetic and alone, maybe shed a tear into my ribeye, and keep pretending everything was fine. But I wasn't alone. Not really. Because sitting 3 tables over, pretending to read a menu was Kyle. My nephew. Steven's son. 24 years old, and the only one in this entire family who still had a spine. He'd been feeding me information for 6 months. Screenshots. Recordings. Evidence. The waiter approached. Young guy with nervous eyes. He held a folded piece of cardstock like it might explode. Sir, someone asked me to give you this. I took it. Didn't open it yet. Just nodded. The waiter disappeared. I unfolded the note slowly. 3 words, handwritten in that shaky script I recognized instantly. Check your phone. I did. 1 new message. Judge Gerald Thompson. Rachel's father. Retired. 80 years of legal maneuvering and courtroom intimidation, and now he was panicking. The text was short, clipped, desperate. The franchise alert just went out. Call me immediately. For God's sake, Daniel, why would you destroy this entire family? I read it twice. Then I set the phone face down on the white tablecloth and picked up my wine glass. I didn't destroy this family. They did. I just stopped pretending I didn't notice. People always ask me how I did it. How a guy who grew up in a 2-bedroom rental in South Phoenix built a fitness empire. The answer was simpler than they wanted to hear. I never stopped moving forward. Harrison's Fitness and Wellness wasn't some flash-in-the-pan idea. It was deliberate, strategic. In 1995, I saw what was coming. Baby boomers getting older. Millennials obsessed with wellness. The whole lifestyle brand, waved before anyone called it that. So I built gyms that didn't feel like concrete dungeons. Clean, bright, Affordable but not cheap. The franchise model came later, around 2008, right when the economy tanked and everyone was terrified. I saw opportunity. People wanted to own something, be their own boss. I gave them the blueprint, the brand, the support system, and it exploded. By 2015, I had 60 locations. By 2020, over 100. I was profiled in business magazines, spoke at conferences, built something I was genuinely proud of. And then I made the mistake every successful man makes. I assumed my family was proud of it too. Rachel was my college sweetheart. Met her at Arizona State in 1987. She was studying marketing. I was grinding through business classes while working overnight shifts at a warehouse. She said she loved my drive, my refusal to settle. For 26 years, I believed her. Steven, my younger brother, always looked up to me, or at least I thought he did. When he lost his job in 2012, I handed him a franchise, paid the setup costs myself, told him it was family taking care of family. Emily, my daughter, wanted to open an art gallery. I funded it, then gave her a franchise location as a safety net. She hugged me, called me the best dad in the world. Liam, my son, dropped out of college twice. I didn't lecture him, just gave him a franchise near ASU's campus. Told him he could figure life out while building something real. Rob Sullivan and I went back 35 years. Roommates in college. Best man at my wedding. Godfather to my kids. When he got divorced and his finances went sideways, I gave him a franchise too. No questions asked. I handed out empires, and they handed me back lies. 6 months ago, Kyle came to my house. He was shaking. My nephew, Steven's son, the kid I'd watched grow up, 24 years old and scared out of his mind. Uncle Dan, Kyle said, sitting across from me in my study. There's something you need to know. He pulled out his phone. Show me a group chat. A thread with 9 people in it. Rachel, Steven, Emily, Liam, Rob, Steven's wife, Rob's new girlfriend, even Judge Thompson, Rachel's father. The group was called Exit Strategy. I scrolled through the messages. My hands didn't shake. They should have. But I'd spent too many years negotiating deals, staying calm under pressure. So I just read. Rachel, he's been distracted lately. Now's the time. Steven, I've got the LLC paperwork ready. We file next month. Emily, do we really have to keep pretending? I'm exhausted. Rob, once the transfer goes through, we're golden. He'll never see it coming. Kyle's voice pulled me back. I didn't know what to do, but I couldn't just. You did the right thing, I said quietly. And that's when I started planning. Not revenge. Something colder. Justice. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It was pretending I didn't know about it. For 6 months, I woke up next to Rachel and smiled. Kissed her goodbye. Asked about her day. Listened to her complain about the gym, about members, about staff issues. All while knowing she was planning to strip everything from me. 6 months of family dinners where Steven talked business and slapped my back like we were brothers in the trenches. 6 months of Emily showing me photos of her gallery openings while secretly mocking me in group chats. 6 months of Liam asking for advice on running his franchise while plotting with the others. I became a different kind of man during those months. Not angry, not bitter, just methodical. Kyle fed me everything. Screenshots arrived at 2 in the morning. Voice recordings came through encrypted apps. Documents appeared in my email with subject lines like, Uncle Dan, you need to see this. The group chat was a goldmine. They got comfortable, sloppy, arrogant. Steven, Dad would be ashamed of how soft Dan's gotten. We're doing him a favor, honestly. Rachel, he won't even notice until it's too late. I've been managing his passwords for years. Rob, the LLC transfers next week. After that, the franchises are legally ours. Emily, can we please just get this over with? I'm tired of pretending to care about his boring gym stories. I printed every message, saved every file, built a timeline that would make a prosecutor weep with joy. But I didn't just collect evidence. I studied the franchise agreements I'd written years ago, the ones my attorney, a sharp woman named Claire Donovan, had drafted with ironclad precision. Section 14C sat there like a loaded gun gathering dust. Moral breach and immediate termination rights. If any franchisee engaged in fraud, conspiracy, or coordinated harm against the franchisor, all rights reverted immediately. No appeals. No grace period. Just termination. 3 weeks ago, I met with Claire in her downtown office. spread the evidence across her conference table like a battlefield map. She read through it in silence. When she finally looked up, her expression was pure steel. "Daniel," Claire said, "this is airtight. You could not only terminate the franchises, you could sue for damages, fraud, conspiracy." "I don't want to sue," I said. "I want them gone." She nodded slowly. "Then we activate Section 14C. I'll draft the notices. You'll need to file with the state, notify the franchise board, and send formal termination letters." "How long?" I asked. 72 hours from filing to execution. I filed 3 days before my birthday. The state accepted the documentation without question. The franchise board rubber-stamped it, and the termination notices went out electronically at exactly 6:47 p.m. on the day of my birthday dinner. Every franchisee in the Harrison system received a notification. Standard protocol. But 7 of those notifications had a red flag attached. Franchise agreement terminated. Breach of Section 14C. Rachel got hers while sitting in our living room, scrolling her phone. Stephen got his while driving home from wherever he'd been instead of my dinner. Emily's arrived while she was at her gallery, probably laughing with friends about how she'd ditched her pathetic father. Liam's hit his phone during whatever emergency kept him away. Rob's came through while he was ignoring my calls. And just to make sure the message was clear, Judge Gerald Thompson, Rachel's father, got copied on every single one. Not because he was a franchisee, but because his name appeared in the group chat. Because he'd given Rachel legal advice on how to protect assets during a transition. That's when his panic text came through. The franchise alert just went out. "Call me immediately. For God's sake, Daniel, why would you destroy this entire family?" I read it twice while sitting at my empty birthday table. Then I ordered dessert. I slept better that night than I had in months. No Ambien, no whiskey. Just 8 solid hours of the deepest rest I'd had since Kyle first showed me that group chat. Rachel didn't come home. I heard her car pull into the driveway around 11, then leave 20 minutes later. Probably couldn't face me. Probably scrambling to meet with Stephen, with her father, with anyone who could make this nightmare go away. Good luck with that. My phone started ringing at 6:15 a.m. Stephen. I let go to voicemail. He called again at 6:22, again at 6:30. Then Rachel. Then Emily. Then Judge Thompson. 12 calls in 40 minutes. I made coffee, sat on the back patio, watched the sunrise paint the desert gold and red. Arizona mornings are something else. Clean, honest, the kind of beauty that doesn't lie to you. At 7 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Claire Donovan. All franchises flagged. State filings confirmed. Board notified. You're clear. How are you holding up? Never better, I replied. At 7:45, Kyle's truck pulled into my driveway. He walked around back, saw me on the patio, and just stopped. His face was a mess. Exhausted, relieved, guilty. "Uncle Dan," he said quietly. "Sit down," I told him. He did. I poured him coffee from the carafe I brought outside. We sat in silence for a minute. "My dad called me 17 times, Kyle finally said. "He knows I'm the one who told you." "You worry?" I asked. Kyle shook his head. "No, I'm done being scared of him." I nodded. This kid had more spine than his father ever did. "What happens now?" Kyle asked. "Now," I leaned back in my chair. "Now they panic. They'll try to negotiate, threaten, cry, beg. Judge Thompson will try to find a legal angle. Rachel will play the victim. Stephen will act like I betrayed him." "And you?" Kyle asked. "I'm going to finish my coffee," I said. "Then I'm going to the office. Business as usual." Kyle looked at me like I just told him I was going to the moon. "That's it?" he asked. "That's it," I said. "They spent 6 months planning to destroy me. I spent 6 months documenting everything they did. The law's on my side. The contracts are ironclad. They have no move left. They'll fight back," Kyle said. "Let them," I replied. "Fighting back requires leverage. They don't have any." At 8:30, I walked into Harrison's corporate headquarters in Scottsdale. My assistant, Maria, looked up from her desk with wide eyes. "Mr. Harrison," she said carefully, "there are people waiting in your office." "Who?" I asked, though I already knew. "Your wife, your brother, and a man who says he's your attorney." I smiled. Judge Thompson brought a lawyer. How considerate. Maria looked nervous. "Should I call security?" "No," I said. "Let them wait. I have emails to answer first." I walked past my office door. Heard muffled voices inside. Angry. Desperate. Exactly what I expected. I spent 30 minutes responding to franchise partners, assuring them that the terminations were isolated incidents and wouldn't affect their operations. Then I stood, straightened my tie, and walked into my office. Rachel sat in one chair, Stephen in another. Judge Thompson stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back like he was about to deliver a closing argument. And next to him, some lawyer I'd never met, clutching a briefcase like it contained nuclear codes. They all turned when I entered. Daniel, Rachel started, her voice shaking. We need to talk. I closed the door behind me, walked to my desk, sat down. No, I said calmly. We really don't. The lawyer Judge Thompson brought was named Malcolm Pierce. Mid-40s, expensive suit, the kind of slicked-back confidence that comes from winning cases through intimidation rather than merit. He set his briefcase on my desk without asking, popped it open like he was about to perform surgery. Mr. Harrison, Pierce said, his voice smooth as oil, my clients are prepared to resolve this matter amicably. We believe there's been a misunderstanding regarding the franchise terminations. I didn't move, just watched him. Pierce pulled out a document. We're proposing a temporary suspension of Section 14C, pending an independent review. During this period, all franchises would remain operational, and we'd enter mediation to— No, I said. Pierce blinked. Excuse me. I said no. I repeated, my voice calm, flat. There's no misunderstanding. There's no mediation. Section 14C was activated legally and permanently. Judge Thompson stepped forward. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked old, tired, desperate. Daniel, the judge said, using the tone he probably used in courtrooms to sway juries, you're making a mistake. This family has supported you for decades. Rachel loves you. Stephen looks up to you. The kids mock me in a group chat. I interrupted, pulling out my phone. I turned it toward him, showed him the screenshots Khaled sent. Emily called me pathetic. Liam said I was too stupid to notice. And your daughter, Judge, your daughter orchestrated the whole thing. Rachel's face went white. Daniel, please. You don't get to please me anymore, I said, standing. You had 6 months to come clean, to stop, to tell me the truth. Instead, you doubled down. You brought in your father. You brought in a lawyer. You thought you could intimidate me into backing down. Stephen finally spoke, his voice shaking with barely controlled rage. You're destroying this family over a business disagreement. Dad would be ashamed of you. That one hit different. Our father had died 10 years ago. Lung cancer. He'd worked construction his whole life, never made much, but he taught us to work hard and stick together. I looked at Stephen, really looked at him. My little brother. The guy I'd bailed out more times than I could count. Dad would be ashamed of you. I said quietly. You stole from me, lied to me, conspired with my wife to strip everything I built. Don't you dare invoke his name to justify what you did. Stephen's jaw clenched. For a second, I thought he might swing at me. Part of me almost wished he would. Give me one more reason. Pierce tried to regain control. Mr. Harrison, if you proceed with these terminations, my clients will have no choice but to pursue legal action. We'll challenge Section 14C in court. We'll argue undue hardship, procedural violations. Go ahead, I said, cutting him off. Claire Donovan drafted those contracts. She's the best franchise attorney in the state. Section 14C is ironclad. But if you want to waste your money on a lawsuit you'll lose, be my guest. I walked to the door, opened it. This meeting is over, I said. You have 72 hours to vacate the franchise locations. After that, I'm filing eviction notices and trespassing charges. Rachel stood, tears streaming down her face. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. Didn't care. Daniel, please, she whispered. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can. We're done, Rachel, I said. You wanted an exit strategy. Congratulations. You got one. Judge Thompson's face turned red. You smug son of a— Careful, Judge, I said, my voice dropping to ice. You're my building, and I have security on speed dial. They left. All of them. Pierce grabbed his briefcase. Stephen shoved past me without a word. Judge Thompson glared but said nothing. Rachel was the last to leave, moving slowly, like she was waiting for me to stop her. I didn't. When the door closed, I stood there for a long moment. Then I walked back to my desk, and called Kyle. "It's done," I said. "They're out." Kyle exhaled. "How do you feel?" I looked out the window at the Scottsdale skyline. Clear blue Arizona sky. Mountains in the distance. "Free," I said. They didn't go quietly. Over the next 48 hours, I got 19 voicemails, 34 texts, and 12 emails. Threats. Pleas. Accusations. Judge Thompson sent a formal letter demanding arbitration. Peers filed an emergency motion for an injunction. Rachel showed up at the house twice. I didn't answer the door. Stephen tried a different approach. He posted on social media. Long, emotional rant about how I'd betrayed family values and destroyed lives over a business dispute. He painted himself as the victim, the loyal brother stabbed in the back by a greedy, heartless tyrant. It got traction. A few hundred likes. Dozens of comments from people who didn't know the full story. People calling me cold, ruthless, a monster. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Because 48 hours after Stephen's post, Kyle posted his own. Screenshots of the exit strategy group chat. Every message. Every betrayal. Every lie. He captioned it simply. The truth about my Uncle Daniel and why I'm proud to stand with him. Stephen's post got ratioed within an hour. Comments turned against him. People called him out. Demanded answers. He deleted the post by noon. But the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots circulated. The narrative flipped. Meanwhile, Claire Donovan destroyed Pierce's injunction motion. The judge didn't even hold a hearing. Just denied it outright with a 2-sentence ruling. Plaintiff fails to demonstrate procedural violation or legal standing to challenge a valid termination clause. Motion denied. Rachel tried one more time. She showed up at the corporate office on day 3, right before the eviction deadline. Maria buzzed me. "Mr. Harrison, your wife is here. She's asking to see you. She says it's urgent." I hesitated. Not because I wanted to see her, but because part of me, some small stupid part, wondered if she'd finally tell the truth. "Send her in," I said. Rachel walked in slowly. She looked exhausted. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Dark circles under her eyes. She sat down across from me without asking. "Daniel," she started, her voice soft, broken. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But please, can we just talk? Really talk." "About what?" I asked. "About us," she said. "About why this happened. About how we got here." I leaned back in my chair. "You got here by lying, stealing, conspiring with my brother and your father to take everything I built. That's how we got here." Her face tightened. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" I asked. "Explain it to me. Make me understand why my wife of 26 years decided I was the enemy." She looked down. "You changed. You got so focused on the business. We stopped being a team. I felt invisible. So you stole from me." I said. "I didn't steal," she said quickly. We were planning for the future. In case something happened to you. In case you wanted to leave," I finished. "You were building an exit strategy. Funneling money. Setting up accounts. All while pretending everything was fine." She didn't deny it. "I loved you, Rachel," I said quietly. "For 26 years, I loved you. Gave you everything. Built a life for us. And you repaid me by treating me like an obstacle." Tears rolled down her face. "I still love you." "No," I said. "You love what I provided. There's a difference." She stood. "What happens now?" "Now," I said. "Now you leave. The franchises are terminated. Your access to the business accounts is revoked. I've filed for legal separation. You'll hear from my attorney." "Legal separation?" she whispered. "Not divorce." "Not yet," I said. "I want you to sit with what you did. Think about it. Live with it. Then we'll talk about divorce." She left without another word. I sat alone in my office for a long time after that, staring at the photos on my desk. Rachel and me on our wedding day. The kids as babies. Family vacations. All of it felt like someone else's life now. Maria knocked softly. "Mr. Harrison? Kyle's here to see you." "Send him in," I said. Kyle walked in, hands in his pockets, looking uncertain. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I'm okay. My dad's moving back to California," Kyle said. "Taking Aunt Rachel with him. Judge Thompson's going too. They're leaving tomorrow." I nodded. "You going with them?" Kyle shook his head. "No, I'm staying. If you'll still have me." I stood, walked around the desk, put a hand on his shoulder. "Your family, Kyle," I said. "Real family. The kind that tells the truth." He smiled, relieved. So what's next? Kyle asked. Next, I said. Next, we rebuild. 3 weeks after the terminations, Emily showed up at my house. No warning. No text. Just knocked on the door at 7 in the morning while I was making coffee. I opened the door. She stood there in jeans and a sweater, eyes red from crying, holding a folder. Dad, she said quietly, can I come in? I hesitated. Not because I was angry, but because I was tired. Tired of confrontations. Tired of excuses. But she was still my daughter. So I stepped aside. She walked to the living room, sat on the edge of the couch, like she was afraid to get comfortable. I sat across from her in my chair. What's that? I asked, nodding at the folder. Emily opened it. Inside were printouts, bank statements, transaction records. Her hands shook as she handed them to me. This is everything I took, she said. From the business account. From the franchise. Total is $42,000 over 2 years. I'm paying it back. All of it. I looked at the statements. She wasn't lying. Every withdrawal, every transfer, all documented. How? I asked. I sold the gallery. Emily said, her voice breaking. Sold my car. Moved into a studio apartment. I got a job at a marketing firm. It'll take me 3 years to pay it all back, but I'm doing it. I set the folder down. Why? Because you were right, she said, tears streaming down her face. I was awful to you. I said terrible things. I treated you like you didn't matter. And I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I watched her cry. Part of me wanted to hug her, tell her it was okay, that we'd figure it out. But another part, the part that had been betrayed and mocked and dismissed, stayed cold. You call me pathetic, I said quietly. In a group chat with your mother and uncle. You laughed about how I was too stupid to notice what you were doing. Emily's face crumpled. I know. I was angry. I felt like you care more about the business than about us. But that doesn't excuse what I did. Nothing excuses it. Your mother put you up to this. I asked. Emily shook her head. No. She told me not to come. Said you'd never forgive me. But I had to try. Even if you hate me. Even if you never want to see me again. I had to tell you I'm sorry. I leaned back. Studied her. She looked like she'd lost weight. Dark circles under her eyes. This wasn't an act. She was genuinely broken. I don't hate you, I said. But I don't trust you either. Emily nodded. I understand. If you want back in my life, I said, you earn it. Not with money. With time. With honesty. With showing me that you've actually changed. I will, Emily said quickly. I promise, Dad. I'll do whatever it takes. I stood. We'll see. She stood too. Hesitated. Then stepped forward and hugged me. I didn't hug her back right away. But after a moment, I put my arms around her. I love you, Dad, she whispered. I know, I said. When she left, I called Kyle. Emily just came by. I told him. Yeah. Kyle said. How'd it go? She's paying back the money. I said. Sold her gallery. Says she's changed. You believe her? Kyle asked. I don't know yet, I said. But at least she showed up. That was more than anyone else had done. 2 months after the terminations, Claire Donovan called me into her office. Her voice on the phone was tight, controlled. The tone she used when something serious had landed on her desk. Daniel, we have a problem, she said. I drove to her downtown office. She met me in the conference room, a thick document laid out on the table. What is this? I asked. A will, Claire said. Allegedly yours. Filed with the probate court yesterday by Malcolm Pierce on behalf of Rachel Harrison. I picked it up, skimmed the first page. My name, my signature, dated 6 months ago. It stated that in the event of my death, all assets, including Harrison's fitness and wellness, would transfer to Rachel. Stephen would become CEO. Rob would assume operational control. I looked at Claire. This isn't real. I know, she said, but it's a good fake. The signature looks authentic. The notary stamp is legitimate. They put work into this. How'd they get my signature? I asked. Claire pulled out another document. An old lease agreement from 2019. My signature at the bottom. They copied it, she said. Scanned it, digitally inserted it onto the will. Same notary you used 3 years ago, probably bribed or tricked into stamping it. I sat down. They're trying to set up a contingency. If something happens to me, they inherit everything. Claire finished. It's fraud, Daniel. Clear cut. But we need to prove it before a judge takes it seriously. Can we? I asked. Claire smiled. Already did. I had a forensic document examiner analyze it. The signature is a digital copy. The notary confirmed he never notarized this document. In a language, it contradicts your actual will, the one you filed with me 4 years ago. She pulled out my real will. This one names Kyle as executor. Leaves the business to a trust benefiting legitimate franchise partners. Rachel gets nothing. I exhaled. So what happens now? Now, Claire said, we file a motion to void the fake will and press charges for forgery and fraud. Malcolm Pierce is going to have a very bad week. Do it, I said. Claire nodded. One more thing. I did some digging. Judge Thompson's name is on the notary documents as a witness. He was involved in creating this. My jaw tightened. How deep does this go? Deep enough, Claire said. They were planning this for months. The will was their insurance policy. If you died before they could strip the business, they'd inherit it anyway. I stood, walked to the window, looked out at the Phoenix skyline. They really thought this would work, I said. Desperation makes people sloppy, Claire said. That night, I sat in my study with a bourbon and thought about Rachel. 26 years of marriage. 2 kids. A life built together. And she'd been willing to forge my will, steal my signature, and conspire with her father to take everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Liam, my son. First time he contacted me since the birthday dinner. Dad, can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. Not yet. When you're ready to tell the truth, we'll talk. He didn't respond. The next morning, Claire filed the motion. The court scheduled an emergency hearing. Malcolm Pierce tried to withdraw as Rachel's attorney. The judge denied it. By the end of the week, the fake will was voided. The notary confessed he'd been paid $5,000 by Judge Thompson to backdate the stamp. And the district attorney opened a criminal investigation into forgery and conspiracy. Rachel and Judge Thompson were both named as defendants. Kyle called me when the news broke. Uncle Dan, did you see? I saw, I said. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. I'm okay. Because the thing about betrayal, once you stop being surprised by it, you stop letting it hurt you. 4 months after the criminal investigation closed, I stood in the same steakhouse where I'd eaten alone on my birthday. But this time, the table wasn't empty. Kyle sat to my right, Emily across from me. Claire Donovan, my attorney who'd become a trusted friend, was next to Emily. Maria, my assistant who'd stuck with me through everything, sat beside Claire. And at the head of the table, in the seat Rachel used to occupy, sat a woman named Sarah Mitchell. Sarah was a franchise consultant I'd met at a business conference 6 weeks earlier. Smart, direct, no games. We'd been seeing each other casually. Nothing serious yet, but she was good company. To new beginnings, Kyle said, raising his glass. We all clinked glasses. The atmosphere was light, easy, none of the tension that used to strangle every family gathering. Emily had been working at the marketing firm for 3 months. She'd paid back $12,000 so far. True to her word, every month, a wire transfer appeared in the business account. She showed up to my office once a week just to check in. No demands, no expectations, just slowly rebuilding trust. Liam hadn't reached out again. I'd heard through Emily that he'd moved to California with Stephen and Rachel, living in some apartment in San Diego, working at a gym. Not mine. I felt nothing about it. No anger, no sadness, just acceptance that some bridges burn completely. How's the expansion going? Sarah asked. Good, I said. We're opening 3 new locations in Nevada, 2 in New Mexico, all with franchise partners who actually earn their spots. Kyle grinned. Uncle Dan's been tougher on the vetting process. Background checks, financial audits, psychological evaluations. Can't be too careful, I said. Trust is earned now, not given. Claire raised her glass. Speaking of trust, I have news. Malcolm Pierce was disbarred yesterday. The state bar stripped his license for his role in the forged will. Emily's eyes widened. Seriously? Seriously, Claire said. He tried to argue he didn't know the will was fake. The ethics board didn't buy it. He's done. I felt a grim satisfaction at that. Pierce had been arrogant, slimy, everything wrong with the legal profession. Now he was paying for it. After dinner, Kyle and I walked to the parking lot. The desert air was cool, stars bright overhead. You doing okay, Uncle Dan? Kyle asked. Yeah, I said. I really am. You ever think about her? Kyle asked. Aunt Rachel. I consider the question. Sometimes. But not the way you'd think. I don't miss her. I miss who I thought she was. Kyle nodded. My dad called me last week. Wanted to know if you'd ever forgive him. What did you tell him? I asked. I told him forgiveness isn't something you demand, Kyle said. It's something you earn. And he hasn't earned it. I put a hand on Kyle's shoulder. You turned out better than all of us, kid. Kyle smiled. I had a good teacher. We stood there for a moment, looking at the city lights spreading across the valley. Harrison's Fitness isn't just a business anymore, I said. It's proof that you can survive betrayal and come out stronger. What's next? Kyle asked. Next, I said, we keep building, keep growing, and we do it the right way. Kyle nodded. Sounds like a plan. 14 months after that empty birthday dinner, I walked into the corporate office and found Kyle waiting with a bottle of champagne. What's this for? I asked. We hit 200 locations, Kyle said, grinning. As of this morning, Dallas just signed the franchise agreement. I took the bottle, looked at the label. Good stuff. We celebrating. Hell yes, we're celebrating, Kyle said. We walked to my office. I poured 2 glasses. We toasted. Your dad would have been proud, Kyle said quietly. Grandpa Harrison. He would have loved seeing what you built. Maybe, I said, but he would have been more proud that I didn't let them destroy it. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily. Dad, I just made the final payment. All $42,000 repaid. Can I take you to lunch this weekend? I texted back. Lunch sounds good. Saturday. Perfect. Love you, Dad. Love you too. Kyle noticed my smile. Emily. She finished paying it back. I said. That's good, Kyle said. She's really changed. She has, I agreed. Still a long way to go. But she's trying. There was a knock on the door. Sarah walked in, carrying a file folder. She joined Harrison's as director of franchise development 2 months ago. We'd made it official, the relationship. Took it slow, but it was real. Sorry to interrupt, Sarah said, but you need to see this. She handed me the folder. Inside was a legal document. A lawsuit. Filed by Rachel Harrison against Harrison's Fitness and Wellness, claiming wrongful termination and emotional distress. I read it, then looked at Sarah. She's suing me. Her attorney filed it this morning, Sarah said. Claire's already on it. She says it's garbage. Won't survive summary judgment. I set the folder down. Shook my head. She never stops. Some people can't accept consequences, Kyle said. I looked at both of them. Sarah, strong and steady. Kyle, loyal beyond measure. Then I looked around my office. The photos on the wall. Not family photos anymore. Photos of franchise locations. Of grand openings. Of real people building real businesses. Let her sue, I said. She'll lose. Just like she lost everything else. Sarah smiled. That's the spirit. That evening, I drove out to the original Harrison's Fitness location. The strip mall gym where it all started 30 years ago. It was still operating, now run by a franchise partner named Tom who'd been with me for 15 years. I walked in. Tom saw me and waved. Dan, what brings you by? Just wanted to see where it started, I said. We walked around. The equipment was newer now. The walls freshly painted. But the bones were the same. The foundation I'd built when I had nothing but a dream and a willingness to work. You know what I learned this year? I said to Tom. What's that? He asked. That the people who betray you do you a favor, I said. They show you who they really are. And they make room for the people who actually deserve to be in your life. Tom nodded. That's a good way to look at it. I left the gym as the sun set. Drove home with the windows down, desert air rushing in. When I pulled into my driveway, I sat for a moment. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Dad, it's Liam. I know I don't deserve it, but can we talk? I stared at the message. Thought about everything. The betrayal. The lies. The year of silence. Then I typed back. Not yet. But maybe someday. When you're ready to be honest. I hit send. Put the phone down. Walked inside. Because forgiveness wasn't weakness. It was a gift. And gifts were only given to those who earned them. I'd survived. I'd rebuilt. And I'd learned the most important lesson of all. Legacy isn't about who you give everything to. It's about who's still standing when the dust settles. And I was still standing.